Good evening, everyone. Madam Chair, we'll run through the agenda just real quick with the highlights. Number one, DRH 24-185 is a deferral.
Okay.
And that would be to the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is, you know what that is in November? November 25th.
Okay.
Item number two, we will hear, and there was late correspondence that went out on Friday regarding that one, so you shall have that.
Excellent.
Item number three, we will hear.
Okay.
Item number four, we would recommend for the consent agenda.
All right. Does anybody have any concerns or questions that we can answer in the work session, or are we good for consent? Okay.
Okay, and item number five, we would recommend for the consent agenda.
Same thing. Anybody have questions that we can answer now? No? Okay.
Okay, great. We will see you all in a few minutes.
Thank you. All right. It's 6 o'clock.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening and welcome to the Boise City Historic Preservation Commission public hearing. A few things to start out with for tonight's proceedings. Everyone from the public entering the hearing virtually has been automatically muted and cannot speak. As the item you're interested in comes up for discussion, you will be called upon and unmuted. There's a chat function in Zoom. This is not part of the record and should only be used if technical difficulties arise. Our procedures for public hearings begin with a presentation from the planning team, then we'll go to the applicant, and then the representative of the Registered Neighborhood Association, followed by questions from the commission. After that, we proceed to public testimony, starting with those who are in person, then those who signed up on the sign-up sheet, and then anyone else who raises their hand either in person or virtually. If you're attending through your telephone, you can type in *9 to raise your hand. Each member of the public is allowed up to 3 minutes for testimony. We are strict with this time as it is limited in code. Finally, the applicant will be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal, after which the hearing will be closed and the commission will deliberate and render a decision. And with that, Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you. We are citizen volunteers appointed by the mayor and approved by City Council. Any decision made tonight may be appealed to the City Council, provided that the appeal is filed within 10 days of this hearing. In order to file an appeal, you must have given written or oral testimony at tonight's meeting. So that's why it's important to give your name and address when you testify tonight. We utilize a consent agenda. This means that if an applicant agrees with the staff report and if there is no public opposition, the item will be placed on the consent agenda. All items that are placed on the consent agenda are approved with one motion without further public comment. For items not on the consent agenda, we will hold a full public hearing in the order just detailed a few minutes ago: staff, applicant, neighborhood association, and then public testimony. Thank you all for attending tonight. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Maroney,
Here.
Montoto,
Here.
Malloy,
Here.
Otter, Parks,
Here.
Owens,
Here.
Sales,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
7 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Our first item, are there any modifications or comments to the minutes of September 30th meeting and the work session on September 30th? Or a motion?
Madam Chair, move to approve the minutes from the meeting and work session September 30th.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can the clerk please call the roll?
Maroney,
Aye.
Montoto,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Otter, Parks,
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Sales,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. We have a couple items for our consent agenda tonight. The first is DRH 24-00335 at 508 East Logan Street. Is the applicant here? Excellent. Are you in agreement with the terms and conditions in the staff report? Thank you. Is there anyone present to testify in opposition of this project? No? All right, hearing none, we can move that to the consent agenda. And then the second one is item number 5, DRH 24-00345 at 1512 North 6th Street. Is the applicant here? Excellent. Are you in agreement with the terms and conditions of the staff report? Thank you. Is there anyone present to testify in opposition of this hearing item tonight? No? All right. So we will move that to the consent agenda. Can I please get a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Parks?
before making the motion, just want to compliment the 508 East Logan Street. It's a nicely done application. Appreciate that. Looks really good. With that, I move items number 4 and 5 to the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Maroney,
Aye.
Montoto,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Parks,
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Sales,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And we have one item, a request to defer item number 1, DRH 24-00185. This is at 2617 West Ellis Street. Is there anyone present wanting to testify on this project that cannot return on November 25th? No? All right. So if we can get a motion to defer that.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Parks?
move to defer DRH 24-00185 to the November
25th.
to the November 25th meeting. Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call roll?
Maroney,
Aye.
Montoto,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Parks.
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Sales,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. So with that, we have 2 items to hear tonight. The first is DRH 24-00309 at 1519 North Harrison Boulevard, a certificate of appropriateness to alter the character defining facade of a contributing structure on a property in a residential traditional zone with a historic design overlay. Staff, can we please get the report?
This is the aerial map indicating where the property is located on the southwest corner of North Harrison and Limp Street. Here is the site plan. These are the elevation sketches. The one to the left is what was initially proposed and has been revised based on staff comments to be what is proposed to the right. And here are a couple photographs of what is there currently. The applicant has proposed to remove the existing stoop and steps to the primary entrance and replace with a concrete step and stoop. Staff previously requested that the applicant redesign the prior proposal to have a more traditional set of steps up to a stoop, like what you have now, and meeting the code requirements regarding the tread depths. They can also be all concrete if you want. We also requested that they should not propose the concrete patio along the entire facade to the right, and that the design is too contemporary to be compatible with historic residents or more generally within the historic district. The guidelines further state, should the porch be missing entirely, research should be conducted to perform a restoration that is based on historical, pictorial, and physical documentation. Whether a replacement or in addition, a new design should not create a false sense of historical appearance, but rather be congruous with the historic character of the building. And in no case should the new entrance be incongruous in size, scale, material, and color. The design of what is proposed is now congruous to the existing historic features and the prevailing character of the district. And based on the above analysis, staff recommends approval, and I will stand for any questions.
I have a question. It says staff recommends denial on the screen.
Oh, operator error. That's leftover. Yes.
Because there
The
was,
official documents, the official documents, I believe, are correct.
they changed it, right? So it was,
Yeah, they changed
one
it.
way in the-
Initially, staff was going to recommend denial based
Okay.
on what was presented and based on staff's review and guideline requirements, but they have made the change. I could actually modify this on the fly, but based on that, staff changed their recommendation to approval.
okay, excellent. Thank you. Are there other questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present? All right, if you want to approach and state your name and address, please. Oh, excellent. Let the record show that we are getting a handout. And we'll enter it as, what do we call it? We have a sticker. or something.
So my name is Teresa Willerup, and I live at 1519 North Harrison. And I want to start out just by saying Mr. Jarvis has been very helpful in refining the design and helping us to figure out the best way forward for this project. That being said, actually, if you don't mind, be able to follow what I'm even saying for my own self, so I'm going to just fall open my thing. So the house that you see today was actually built in 1947. The original house from 1911 was completely restructured in 1947. So you have the two comparative pictures of the house from when it was originally built until when it was remodeled with the, quote, pseudo-colonial architecture that it has today. You can see that the original house had a wraparound porch, which leaves, when they took that porch off, left that front window dangling abnormally high above the landscaping. So let's just say that the house is not really visually appealing. Can we agree on that? So what I'd really like your help with is, how do we make this house look better, and what does the process need to look like? There's a few things that we want to fix with the design that you have in that's up for approval. We want to broaden the stoop. Right now it's very narrow. If anyone knocks on the door and I try to open the front screen, they have to back down the steps in order for me to open the door. The steps are narrow. They're actually a problem at Halloween because of all the queues of people trying to get in and out. It's actually a hazard, I'd say. The railing around the stoop is a problem for snow removal. Ice tends to build up, so that's also an issue. So I'm seeking to get rid of that railing. And then that area in front of the house is just this awkward space. The zoning of the sprinklers don't allow for enough water to get in to really adequately be able to supply water to the landscaping there. So that's been an issue in the 15 years that we've lived in that house. To contrast, there's some other houses on Harrison that have more of the design that we're looking for. And this is just to show a comparison of a house 2 blocks down with a patio across the entire front. And then a more recent construction a few blocks north on Harrison of a house that's currently being renovated. And you can see the new steps in front there with the expanded patio out in front of the house. This is one street over on 17th. It's from the same year. This house was built in 1943. Ours was built in 1947. And you can see the kind of look, or not exactly that aesthetic, but the concept would be the same, of having a patio that does extend across the front of the house and make the house more warm and welcoming and inviting to guests and visitors. And then just some other houses in the north end that you can see. These have all been done recently. The house on the left there on slide 7 has a ground level patio with a wall around it. And then the house on 21st, they have a multi-tiered patio construction as well at the front of the house. So the original proposed concepts on slides 8 and 9, you can see we were looking for, on that bottom step, to just extend that patio across the front of the house. This would open up the house, make it more inviting and welcoming. allow us to put some furniture out there that we could just warm up the look of the house, as well as broaden out those steps, make them easier for snow removal. And then at Halloween, make it a little easier for ingress and egress of the 5,000 children that visit us. And then slide 9 is just an alternate view. And sorry for the angle of the sidewalk. It was not sure what I was doing at that point. Here you can see the approved traditional design. This is a house again on 17th, just a block from ours. This is how the design that is in front of you in your packet from Mr. Jarvis. This is what we have approved now. I don't believe it's that architecturally appealing for what the house will look like, but it is traditional. And so really the questions, some of the questions that I have for the committee is what do you all consider when you approve an application or deny an application? Do you look for aesthetics or designs that improve the look of the house, or are we more concerned about being traditional? And finally, would you even consider putting a front patio on this house, or would I just be wasting my time to try to pursue something like that?
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yes, absolutely.
Before we get too deep, we have a commissioner online
Okay.
and Nina in the audience. Do you have a thumb drive, or could we get you a thumb drive and we could put this up on the big screen so that everybody can see the examples of your presentation?
I
Or
did
maybe
not
you could
bring my
you email it?
adapter, but I could email it. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And we paused your time, so no rush, don't panic.
Yeah, public will get you there. Should have started with that. And there's my email address.
Right, exactly. I know. Sorry, I'll say that as a PDF. Do the same.
No, they do make them for like, equivalents, but it's just like, it's, that you get. But using a lot of like, cool goes out or something. This is your block.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you had a good flow going.
No, that's okay. Well, I was actually just, yeah, I'd like to pose those questions to the committee of which design, in your opinion, looks better for the house. Is it important to boost the aesthetic, or does that boost the aesthetic? Or is the traditional design considered more pleasing in accordance with what you're looking for? I'm not sure if there's any criteria for this kind of thing, but and then would the committee ever consider a patio? And if so, how does one go about that process?
All good questions. And I think when we can get the slides up, then when all the commissioners can see what we're talking
Right.
about, we can.
I really like the artwork in here, by the way.
It really is lovely.
It should have.
All right, it sounds like we got it. Excellent. Thank you. And when it comes up, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's been approved and then what your preference is.
Mhm.
Well, the one that staff recommends for approval, yes, and then the homeowner's preference. All right, we can go ahead and start time again. And Josh, if you can go back to the one that staff, yep, this one. Yeah. And so this is the one that you said staff recommends for approval.
Right, that concept of just the stoop and then the protruding stairs, and that should have been in the packet that Mr. Jarvis sent
Mhm.
out. The sketch of that against the facade of our house. So I think
Correct.
hopefully between the two, we were going to take another copy. I had the original. I somehow lost the original, and so anyway, I guess I could have printed it out from the city documents. That didn't occur to me. Sorry about that. So.
And then Josh, do you want to click back a couple so she can tell us about?
No, keep
There we
going
go.
forward, I think. Yeah. Yes, that one. I think the next one is actually a little bit, or the previous one is a little bit better drawing. Oh, was it not there? Oh, well. That one has all the dimensions on it, but yeah.
All right, and so I think we'll deliberate these questions after we've heard from Nina and, okay, excellent. So do you have any questions for the applicant right now? None?
Madam Chair. So I guess I'm a little confused. What do you want to do?
What I would like to do is have a raised patio. So And this is an unfortunate, I think, disconnect between the original planning guidance I got and then the later planning guidance I got. I would honestly like to have a patio all the way across the front, but what I opted for instead was something less visually conspicuous. And so going with the patio just at that first step level was kind of the design that we had opted for based on the original discussions in like April or May, kind of lost track now. And as opposed to just having one patio that goes across the entire front. Ultimately, that could be maybe a preferred route if that's the recommendation of the committee. But for now, I was just hoping to get just that first level up to kind of have still that offset. So it wasn't, it kind of seemed like the best blend between the current house and then the original house, and then just improving what looks, or the front of the house today, and fixing the decay that's up there that we need to do anyway.
And then Mr. Jarvis, is the approved traditional design sketch, slide 10, is that what you recommended for approval? Something like that, where there's one elevation and then steps down at the front versus the cascading steps down from the original proposed concept?
Where did it go? Yeah. Yeah, well, per your packet. Per your packet, you have the drawing that does indicate what the design should look like, and that does look more like the stoop. The slideshow has not been adjusted, but unfortunately, sorry. But in the packet, you'll have a illustration that should show the design of the stoop with just steps heading up to the stoop.
Thank you.
So just so that we're all on the same page, that's the same as slide 10 in the applicant's slideshow.
What is? That kind of look. Like I say, I'm pretty sure in the packet that you received, the revised memo, the sketches are included there. The sketch that she provided in the office that has that look, that is what the look would be. It would just be the standard wide stoop with a couple narrow steps leading up to it.
Okay.
That's the design intent of what staff ultimately recommended approval for.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the applicant. Would you be opposed to the more traditional stoop that Richard would like to see, but an at grade, so pavers like at grade then screened with vegetation in the front? Would that be something you'd be open to? So not like the one that's in or slide 6 of your presentation, but like at grade where you wouldn't be able to see it and then have screening at the front.
And that's basically what we'll do. What Mr. Jarvis advised me is that I don't need approvals for the at grade, that we can just do that at will.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And yeah, I think in the packet, it does say that the alternate request says the traditional design with the protruding steps and and then it'll just be a hardscape in the front.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? No? All right. Thank you.
All right.
So now, is there anyone representing the neighborhood association that'd like to comment?
Thank you, by the way.
Thank you.
Hi, Sandra Herman, 1404 North 7th Street. Madam Chair and Commission, I'm going to kind of throw out what I had written. What we'd like to see is kind of some consistency here. We've had a couple of other mid-century porch patio things come up in the last 6 months, and what was recommended in those was the traditional stoop. And then if homeowners want to have more of a front yard social area to have an at-grade patio. So I think we'd like to see that kind of scenario here. And then with some, always we talk about permeable paving as part of that, making sure that we don't have huge runoff issues going into the sewer with large storms. And then I'll just say my boilerplate as well. Nina would like to remind homeowners and contractors that materials listed within the accepted plans are part of an agreed upon contract with the city. It is important to adhere to the materials as listed, as they are part of standards in a historic neighborhood. Changing materials without consulting the city could result in fines, delays, and mitigation at the contractor or homeowner's expense. We further want to remind homeowners to adhere to all regulations regarding worksite requirements put forth by the city, rules about work hours, noise, parking, regarding worksite and worksite neatness, help keep our neighborhood neighborly. So any other questions for me?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you. All right. Are there any members of the public wanting to testify on this project? And online and in person? All right. You have 5 minutes for rebuttal. If there's anything that you want to address. Excellent. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
This is Fred Willerup, also part of that resident. I just wanted to say that, so it sounds like the issue is with the raised patio to the right of the stairs, or that's one of the issues. If we don't do that, would there be an option to create the wider stairs with the L shape from that patio as opposed to the really narrow stairs? It is I mean, I don't want to harp on the safety issue with thousands of kids at Halloween, but we think it looks better that way, and it's also safer that way as opposed to just have narrow steps. So if we just consider the patio part lower, but with a wider L-shaped steps like we had on the drawing.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is your ideal would be the L-shaped steps,
Right.
and you'd be okay with an at-grade patio.
Yes.
Any questions for the applicant before we close it? Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and close the public portion of the hearing. And if we have a motion, or I'm guessing we probably need to have some discussion.
Madam Chair, I have one last question for staff, if I could.
Sure.
Ask it. Richard, would they be required to have the metal railing with the height?
That is the height, based on the height, they appear to be under the building code requirement for having a railing. So railing is not required. Railing can always be built, but I conferred with a colleague in the building division, and it seems that at the current height, no railing is required. That's why it didn't show as
Okay.
proposed.
Just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for staff? Excellent. Okay. You have a question for staff?
Yes,
Excellent.
Madam Chair. Can you go back to, I think it was page 4 or slide 4 of the staff summary, not the applicant's? Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, the drawing to the right is not correct, basically. That is the raised bed. I intended to replace it with a slide that shows what is being proposed. I'm trying to dig into my project report now, the one that you received, just to ensure what you received. Bear with me. Yes, the drawing in the project report is in error. What she showed on that slide for having the step that kind of stoop with 2 steps up to the stoop is what was meant to be
Okay.
in the documentation. So that appearance is misleading. Unfortunately, these elevations are from the previous iteration of the design, and I intended to swap one of those out. Thought I did, but it's not looking for it. There it is. Pop that up. Thank you. Here it comes. Wait for it. And there's the design intent. That's the sketch we've all been wanting to see, and now we do see. So that was the design intent that was the basis for staff's recommendation of approval. And they're referring to wanting to make that, I guess, a wider sort of L shape. Maybe the steps go all the way to the right. Is that the intent I'm hearing, to have a wider steps up? Yes. That's what I thought. Okay. So this is the design intent, and it shows, and it's noted to the right, there'll be hardscaping where the existing flower beds currently exist.
So just to clarify, like the biggest step on the bottom, that would be at grade, and then the other 2 steps would be the stairs. Is that what we're thinking?
That we're looking at.
Oh, we're looking over here.
No,
All of our pictures are different. Okay, so.
There's a
okay.
walkway that leads to that first riser up, then there's a second riser up, then the third riser is the plate or the face of the actual stoop.
Yes. So this is the one that staff recommends, but I'm asking the applicant if it's a combination between staff's recommendation and this. Like, what are we wanting to change about this? Sorry. I just want to make sure we're all speaking the same language
This
before
is
we
a
approve
little
it.
clumsy, sorry, but yes, we were, since we cannot get a raised patio on the
Mhm.
right where it says no patio, we would do an in-grade patio there. And then, as we saw in our original design, steps all the way along the front and the side so that it accesses that patio and
Right.
the front.
Okay, so
makes
it is kind of a combination between this one, and then I don't know if you can see what's up right there, but like the L-shaped step, I see what you're talking about, so that it steps down into the patio and it steps down off the front of the house. Okay. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have questions? I see some quizzical looks.
I can re-show the slides from my packet or my slideshow and then try to
Right.
verbalize what they're saying here. At this place here, I think is what they're saying is have that cut across, don't have patio here, and have the L shape continue and have a 3-step return to get up to the stoop for the porch.
That is what I'm hearing too.
That's
So
what we're all hearing now. We're all designing from the pulpit or whatever. And here we go. This is what they're changing their proposal to.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, does
Yeah.
staff have an opinion on going back one, just the L,
The-
3 steps up, L shape?
L shape and not having the patio, that might be a viable solution. That's kind of, although they did point out references of other houses that had that. Sometimes these houses are either a more recent construction that aren't contributing to the district, or there could be lots of different reasons why how they found a product that had the look that they wanted. But that is slightly atypical in a traditional setting to have that way of approaching a stoop. The traditional way, the way we've seen, and concrete's been used for stoops since the 1860s. And there's very few houses here from that vintage, but so a concrete stoop, and it's usually is like just the top of the landing of the stoop, and you have steps that go up to it. Sometimes they have those little whatever they're called, where the walls extend out. This is especially found in craftsman buildings where they have the little planter walls is what I call them, because everybody puts a fern pot on top of them. So those are the more traditional look, and just having 3 steps that go up to a plain square stoop is a more traditional look than the L shape, but staff could find that considerable, could consider that if that's what the commission wants to consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions before we close for discussion?
Can we just make a motion, Madam Chair?
Well, we're going to close it for
Oh.
discuss. We have to close the public hearing.
Okay, I just want to like do, so
But
these
first-
designs are fresh in everyone's
Right.
mind.
Okay, I'm going to close the public portion of the hearing and then we will go ahead and make a decision. So I will welcome a motion or discussion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner.
I make a motion that we approve the most agreed upon, most recent L-shaped grade patio for DRH 2400309, 1519 North Harrison Boulevard.
Excellent. Do we have a second or discussion?
I think I want some more clarification and detail in that motion that the patio to the right is at grade.
Yes, the pad, from what I understood, the stoop comes out at the elevation of the door approximately 2 steps down to the grade hardscape patio. The applicant wants to not have a sketchy drop off to the left of the door as they exit, and they want to continue the stairs around. They're nodding in agreement to eliminate that drop off that was shown in the whatever slide it was that they approved.
Slide 10 was the one recommended.
Thank
for
you.
approval.
Yes.
So you're proposing continuing the L shape of the steps?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I would second that motion.
Thank you. Staff, can you please call, or I'm sorry, clerk, can you please call roll?
Maroney,
Aye.
Montoto. Oh, okay. Malloy. Parks,
Nay.
Owens,
Aye.
Sales,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
5 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item on the agenda, DRH 24-00330. This is at 1408 North 14th Street, a certificate of appropriateness to construct a new detached garage with accessory dwelling unit above the property in an R1 or an R-1C, a residential traditional zone with a historic design overlay. Staff, can we please get the report?
This is the aerial map indicating where the property is located on the east side of 14th Street between Alturas and Eastman Street. Here are the site plan, floor plans, and elevation. Photographs of the residents. And more photographs of the residents and adjacent properties. The applicant proposes to construct a detached garage with an accessory dwelling unit above. The form and materials are sufficiently differentiated from the Queen Anne residence. Materials to be used are conditioned to ensure that they meet our guidelines. The accessory structure is 1 foot 6 inches taller than the primary residence. Our guidelines recommend that the accessory structure should not be taller than the primary building on the lot. However, staff feels that this height difference is acceptable as the property is set, as this building on the property is set back at the very rear of the lot, and the peak will not appear taller when seen from the street, mostly due to perspective and being set back so far. The proposed structure does not comply with the reduced setback requirements of the zone due to having only a 21-foot 1-inch backup space directly off the door of the garage. Staff has added a condition to this approval to ensure that modifications are made to the design to ensure that the structure complies with the requirements for backup space and square footage to obtain reduced setbacks. Based on the above analysis, staff recommends approval, and I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the applicant. Are you the applicant? Excellent. Please step forward and state your name and address for the record, and then you have 20 minutes.
Hi, I'm Carl Berkey. I live at 1408 North 14th Street. I am hoping to build a two-car Victorian cottage-style garage in the back lot, as you guys just saw. Primarily, it is due to lack of parking in the neighborhood. I live right in Hyde Park, and the area has grown so much. We have Trico, which has been put on basically it's on the corner a block away from me, as well as Hyde Park itself has several new businesses. On a Sunday or a weekend, there's really nowhere to park. So this is primarily why I want to build this garage with a loft above. Also, it is for a noise buffer for myself. Right behind my property, I have several restaurants. There's an actual bar right behind my property. And there's a bunch of garbage trucks, obviously, during the day. We can all relate to that, but there's dumpsters back there. So I want to use this to be a sound buffer, more or less. When the Royal Cocktail Bar, they have an outside patio, which directly butts my property. When that was approved, conditional language, it said that the abutting properties had garages to deaden the noise, which unfortunately mine did not. My neighbor's does, but mine does not. So that's where I'm hoping to build this to help be a sound barrier. Right now, the proposed site plan that we have, initially during the concept review, I was told that I can use 22-foot of backup space into my property. So that's what I've used for the past, well, month and a half. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we were told that that does not work, that the 22 feet has to be the outside property. And right now, with the 5-foot buffer, we only have 21.5 feet. So total there is 26 feet from the exit of the garage to my interior fence. I was hoping to be allowed to use the 21-foot backup space with having that 5-foot buffer as well. Primarily, I'm going to have I'm just going to park on the property. Also, right now, we're at about 1,000 and I think 50 square feet. To have these reduced setbacks, we're supposed to be under 1,000. We're hoping not to include the exterior walls, which would put us under 1,000. I want to keep an interior staircase just for the aesthetics of the building. I don't like the looks of an exterior staircase. So we're hoping to possibly not count that or the attic space as being counted as well. So I was hoping to keep the plans as designed and move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? No questions? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Nina, would you like to step forward?
Sandra Herman, 1404 North 7th Street. Madam Chair and Commission, we attended the neighborhood meeting for this project this summer. Homeowner gladly answered our questions. Again, we would like to emphasize permeable paving to be used as there is already a lot of paved surface in the area, and we like to mitigate too much runoff into already overwhelmed sewers during heavy rains. I don't really think this project will be visible much from the 14th Street side. Just looking at it last summer and walking down that street, I don't really think you'll be able to notice that it's taller. So we aren't really concerned about the height at all. Nina would like to remind homeowners and contractors that materials listed within the accepted plans are part of an agreed upon contract with the city. It is important to adhere to the materials as listed, as they are part of standards in a historic neighborhood. Changing materials without consulting the city could result in fines, delays, and mitigation at the contractor or homeowner's expense. We further want to remind homeowners to adhere to all regulations regarding worksite requirements put forth by the city. Rules about work hours, noise, parking, and worksite neatness help keep our neighborhood neighborly. We recommend homeowners communicate with neighbors before particularly disruptive parts of the construction process.
Thank you. All right, I do not have anybody on the sign-up sheet. Is anybody present that wants to testify in support or opposition of this project? Anybody online? All right, the applicant has an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal. If there's anything else you want to share? No? Okay. Any questions for the applicant or staff before we close the public portion?
A question for staff, just so that I'm clear. So we're 11 inches short in the width of the driveway apron. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right. The way it's dimensioned is 21 feet, 1 inches. So the 11 inches from the 22 foot of direct backup space, which does need to be met. The garage is already probably sufficiently deep enough that the entire structure could just be shifted 11 inches or a foot, and we're all good. And that would also reduce the square footage to get it under 1,000 so that it can have the reduced setbacks. Very simple solution potentially.
Okay, thank you.
And then we would want to see a revised site plan that shows that. That's why it was conditioned the way it was, so that we could eventually get something back that actually does meet the requirements that we wanted to have set forth. And as it currently stands now, with it being over 1,000 square feet and not having a 22-foot backup space, it's no good. It's not meeting our zoning code. But if those two things happen per the condition, and we get under 1,000 and we get a 22-foot backup space, which I asked for pretty early on in the process, then we're in good shape.
All right, thank you. Other questions for staff or the applicant? No? All right, I will go ahead and close the public portion of the hearing, and we can move to a motion or discussion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
Hey.
Owens.
I think I could start with just discussion that will hopefully lead into a motion, but I'm supportive of this application with staff's conditions included. We can't bypass the zoning code anyway, so that's my take.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Owens.
I move to approve, what are we on, 330?
Yes.
I move to approve item number DRH 24-00330 at 1408 North 14th Street, subject to the conditions of approval that staff has already included in their staff report.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Clerk, can you please call roll?
Maroney,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Parks.
Aye.
Owens,
Aye.
Sales,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. And that's all we have for tonight.